Welcome back to this second part when I'm showing how to get money and how to set up a proxy server network. So in the last episode, I showed you how to quickly hack these bank accounts. I did some of them as I showed you, and then I did the rest of them in between the episodes. So now that we have the resources, let's just go into our bank account. And as you can see, we now have 14,000, which is probably going to be enough for what we're doing. So now that we have the resources, we need to go to the shop. There are more ways of doing this. You can hack MPC networks and use those as proxy servers as well, and other things like that. But for this method that I'm going to show you today, we will be using servers that we have rented ourselves. What you will be doing is that you will be renting, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 15 for now. So the more servers you have in your network, the harder it will be for another player to get a hold of your IP and hack you. In this instance, they will need to hack 15 servers to get our home IP and in order to hack us. So what you will be doing is that you will be adding these servers to your map list of servers. And that's how you make that's how we use them as proxies. But this button right here, save computer to map, is what we will be using on all of these servers, like this. Then I like to just remove them because the information about the IP root password has been saved to the map. So we don't need that anymore, but you can, of course, keep them in your mail if you want to. We'll just be doing this for all 15 servers. Should take that long. Perhaps I should have done a little fewer, since I'm doing this for educational purposes and I can't really use these IPs myself anyways, because you will be able to find my IP if you search these IPs now. Then you will be able to hack me. But that's how you go about it. Then we'll be using the map. Maybe I should show you. So if we open the file explorer and open the config, we will now have a map.conf in the config folder. And this config folder contains all the information that we just saved. So the IP of the servers, the password of the servers, and the username, which of course is root. And you can edit these config file, or this config file. So, for example, if somebody hacks and destroys one of the servers, you can just remove it by deleting the text. Or if you want to have several different proxy server networks, for example, you want to use this proxy server network with these 15 servers, then you can put that as the map config. Then you can remove the map config and replace it with another map config with other IPs if you want to use another network. You can download another player's network and use that one, for example. Maybe they will have more servers in theirs, and so on. So there's a bunch of options to play around with this. But what we will be doing now is we will be using the start bounce connection from your saved networks. And this will just route you through every single one of the servers that we just bought. And then we are on the 15th server. So what we can do from here is we can open browser. Oh, we have to close something. Let's close the map. Like this. And now when we connect somewhere, let's for example say that we want to buy something, more RAM would be preferable. We can open more programs. We would go into shop. I'm just going to buy some RAM. What should we buy? Quite expensive, aren't they? What is the motherboard using at the moment? I'm just going to buy RAM now. Nothing else. I have to close some stuff. Preferences. Hardware. I can't see it from here, can I? We need to look at the motherboard. There it is. So it uses DDR1 RAM, and it's maximum of 1000, 1 gig. Let's see if I can close this as well. Wonder if there are any good RAMs for that. So DDR1, there is one, but it's only 1 out of 10. Yeah, whatever. Let's do that. Not important now anyways, just for showing you how it works. Wonder if there are any good. That's a great processor. Look at that. 4.5 gigahertz, 16 cores, 10 out of 10 quality. That's probably what you want to use for your build. This one. There we go. And now we have a bunch more RAM. So that's great. Now we can open more stuff. So what we will be doing now, what I was showing was that since we now have connected to this shop will have logged our IP, but the IP that was logged is this IP. So it's not our home IP, but another IP. And this is how we secure ourselves. It's the same thing if you want to hack another server. So let's say that we want to do a mission, then we would use the proxy server to hack, and therefore the logs that would be left would be of the proxy server, and then another player would have to hack every single one of these servers in order to find our home IP and in order to hack us. So this is another great way of keeping our IP safe and therefore our home computers safe. The other way that I wanted to mention is for us to, or well, it's kind of a addition to this method. If we open we can open the file explorer, for example, but we will also be going there like this. So we, like we did in the last episode, we can look at our password. So this is the root password. If we chmod this file, like this, it will be more difficult for players to get a hold of our root password on the server. I would also recommend changing the root password to something more difficult than the default password. It's also the case that this server is now running. I don't remember if I have nmap. I don't think I'm map. Do I have that? I do have that. Okay. So if we use nmap if config on the server that we just rented, you will see that it's running in SSH 1.0 port. And that is the default port that every single server you rent is running. And this is a problem because there are quite a few tools in the hack shop. We open another browser here. And we need the hack shop IP like this. So if you look here in the shop, there are quite a few ways of hacking SSH servers. There's the SSH crack, which uses brute force attack of a dictionary file. There's SSH guest, which gives us guest access on any SSH server. Or well, you need the appropriate version, of course. Since this one is running 1.0, every single tool is going to work on this SSH server. Apart from that, there is also the SSH nuke, which changes the root password on the server. So if we keep it like this, people could just change the root password and then use SSH, the SSH command, this one, to gain access. Then, of course, we have the SSH scale, which gains root privileges. So the SSH server is quite unsecure the way it is right now. What you would, there are a couple of ways of doing this, but one of the more secure ways would be to remake the server into a HTTP server. And in order to do that, you will go to the shop. Let's just do it. I think I'll show it in this episode, actually. I'll show you how to make it more secure. So you will buy or well download the HTTP server like this. Then you would, well, let's first run it. So you would run the HTTP server, and now there is a HTTP service running and an SSH server. So what we want to do is we want to stop the SSH server. There is, of course, a problem with this as well. This method is going to make it so that players can, or well, so that you can't gain access with the map. Well, there are other methods of doing this which would involve changing the SSH server so that that becomes more secure instead. But let's just show this method instead. All methods have their drawbacks. This one has a pretty major one. Well, no, not major one, but it's more inconvenient. But I'll show you how it works. So you will go into, I think it's public, or no, I think it's server. Wait, server, maybe. Let's see here. Yes. So you do SSHD stop, and that stops the SSH service on the computer, which makes it so that players can't connect via SSH on here anymore. Then I would recommend removing the SSHD because otherwise players will be able to start it again. Then the next step would probably be to open another browser and change the port forwarding. This is a very important step because if you don't do this, you won't be able to gain access to your server, so it will be lost. There we go. Now we have a HTTP server running here instead of an SSH. If we do nmap on the server, you can now see that it's running an HTTP 1.0 instead. when you run a HTTP, players will be able to use other tools to hack you, and the main one would be the shell web command. The shell web command is going to give them guest access on your server. So they will be able to open every program and run every command on your server, and that way they will quite easily be able to hack you. So in order to make this server secure, you would have to go into bin and chmod everything except for sudo. So you would chmod. I'm showing a lot in this episode. Maybe I should have split the proxy and the server setup into two different videos. You guys can tell me in the comment if this is too much information. So you would chmod every single command. I won't show all of them, but you chmod the cd command, the ls command, and then when you've done that to all of the commands, you will see that there are just lines on all of them. You need to go into the usr-bin folder, and you need to do the same for all the programs. If there are things on here that you don't think you will be using, I would recommend just removing them completely, because they will not be recreated like some of the other things can be that I mentioned in the previous video. Or well, 2 videos ago actually. So you would do the same thing. You would chmod file explorer, and yeah, you get the idea. And then to make it even more secure, I would of course recommend chmodding all the folders. So all of this should also be chmodded, and this will make it much harder for a potential hacker to gain access. There are quite a few other small tricks you can do to make it a little bit more secure, but I think you get the idea. The main drawback that I mentioned earlier with doing it this way, also I should mention, the var folder should be chmodded, of course, and the contents, because this is the log file. So this is the way that players will be able to track your IP. If you chmod this file, preferably using all of them, chmod O, U, N, G. Players will not be able to read your system.log file unless they have root access, and that way your home IP will be secure. So the main reason why you want to do something like this at all is that if you have 15 proxy servers, it's still possible for a player to go through every single server, find your IP, then eventually get to your home IP. But if you make a secure server like this, that you also use as protection, they will never be able to, unless they find some way around your protection, they will never be able to get a hold of the next IP in the chain, and therefore they will not be able to get your home IP at all. So this is like the one of the better methods, and you could just use this method. You don't need to have 15 proxy servers. You could just use this one server with a protected IP system.log that protects your IP. But of course, more security is better security. So I would recommend using both. Now, for the drawback with this method, if we use exit here, exit, we will be put into the 14th IP in the proxy chain, so we can use exit on every one of them. Maybe I should show it like this, actually. Let's try again, and we just okay, this is bugged now. There we go. Now we are getting all the servers, and then when it tries to connect to our last server that we did these edits on, it says SSH can't connect, port 22 not found. And that is because we have removed the SSH server, and the proxy map, the map connection, when it connects to all the proxy servers, needs an SSH server. And since there is no SSH server, we now need to manually connect to this server. So what you could do is you could go, for example, open the browser and go to the, where did the, need to open the hack shop again. I can't use the bookmark because the bookmark is only on the specific PC. So every PC has their own bookmarks. And since we never used this PC before, we can't, even if we add the bookmark on all of them, we have to do them all individually. So then we go on here and we get the shell web command. We save that to here. Also remember that now that I connected with this IP to the hack shop, this IP is actually visible. So even if we try to hide behind this extra protected server, people could still find our IP address by hacking this hack shop. So there are many things you need to be aware of. The way we should have done it would have been to download shell web on this protected server and then transfer it to this server, not leaving this IP anywhere. But I'm just showing this for educational purposes. So now we would use the shell web command on the IP that we have made secure. And this is how a hacker also would do it. So they would shell web in there, and then they would be guessed. And now if they try to do stuff like ls, they will get permission denied. Because I did not chmod everything in here. We could still do stuff, but if we had chmoded everything, they would not be able to do anything on our server. And the only way to gain access would be to use the sudo command, which gives us root access. And for that, we would need the password. And I believe that we chmodded the, I can show you that actually. Let's just type something wrong here. So if we try to use the cat command on the etc password, we get permission denied because we chmodded the password file. Had we not done that, then we would have been able to see the password and then gain access to the server. So that would be another way of hacking in there. So how do we get access now, since we deleted our login credentials? I think the smartest way would be to go into map.config and check out the password from down here. So this is the password. I don't even need to copy that actually. We'll just type it in. There we go. Now we have root access on the server. We can continue to chmod everything and making it secure. But the drawback, of course, is that at the end of the map, we will need to do the lost connection manually. So these are some ways to protect you. Just to recap, you can use proxy servers, which would mean that the player needs to go through a lot of servers to find your home IP. You can make a protected server where they can't get the IP from the server logs, and you can chmod and remove files and folders that you want to keep protected, both on your servers and on your home IP. I hope this has been educational and not too long, even though I feel like it has been. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.